During the summer vacation, my girlfriend Wendy Lawson was always so busy that I couldn't contact her, so on the first day of the academic year, I went to her dormitory with a gift to give her a surprise. Just as I arrived downstairs of her dormitory building, I saw a car that looked familiar. When I was walking around the car, Wendy came out of the dormitory. At the sight of me, she glanced at me with annoyance and said impatiently, "Can you please stop staring at someone else's car like that? Shame on you." I was just about to explain that the car was mine, curious about why it ended up here after I put it in a car wash. But before I could say anything, a man hugged Wendy and kissed her right to my face. Seeing my shocked look, he asked with a smug smile, "Baby, didn't you tell me you broke up with this poor bastard long ago? What is he doing here now?" Originally, I wanted to ask her when we broke up, but Wendy just gave me a dirty look and said, as expected of a poor loser, he kept pestering me once he couldn't accept the breakup. The man responded with an seeing me looking at the Rolls Royce from time to time, he couldn't help laughing again. "Dude, there's no point looking at my car, you didn't have it when you were born and will never have it in your lifetime." Wendy gave the man a smile I had never seen before and said, "That's right, stay away from my babe's car, I don't want you to stain it." The man waved his hand indifferently and said, "It doesn't matter, just let him look at it, if he stains it, I'll just buy another one, the last thing I lack is money." I was so astonished that I pointed at the car and asked suspiciously, "You mean this car is yours?" The man snorted with laughter, took out the car keys, started the car remotely, and said, "If it's not my car, how can I have the car keys? Besides, if it's not mine, can it be yours?" Seeing him take out the car keys, I instantly understood that the man must be a car washer, so he had my car keys. With a cold snort, I intended to directly tell them my identity, but I turned my words around when they came to my lips. "Having the keys doesn't mean that the car is yours, does it? I know this car, it belongs to the heir of the richest man in the city of Horsen, you are not." The man suddenly interrupted me, "Shoo, just keep it to yourself, I don't like to be ostentatious, but since you've said it, I might as well admit it, yes, I'm Xavier Chambers, the son of the richest man." After he said this, all the students around could not help but gasp in amazement and began to discuss it. Wendy felt even more complacent, she raised her head and said, "Zachary Chambers, we are all adults now, if I don't reply to your messages, it means I'm dumping you, I'm way out of your league." I thought it was ridiculous and said, "Wendy Lawson, have you forgotten that I got together with you after you pursued me?" Wendy's face changed as if she didn't expect me to expose her so mercilessly like this, but she quickly recovered and said, "I agreed to be your girlfriend because you can help me write my papers. Come on, do you think I would fall in love with a poor loser like you? Let's break up." I pointed at Xavier and asked, "Do you want to break up with me just because of him?" Wendy rolled her eyes at me and said, "No, it's because you're too cheap. Every time I went out to eat with you, you always took me to some secluded so-called private restaurants and bragged that those little restaurants were opened by Michelin star chefs, making me ashamed. By contrast, Chavi always takes me to those truly decent restaurants, each of which requires a membership card. I guess you don't even have the qualifications to go in, do you?" I couldn't help but take another look at the car. I did put a lot of membership cards and stored value cards for restaurants in the car. I supposed Xavier deceived Wendy with this car and just a few meals paid with my cards. Wendy kept belittling me, amusing Xavier. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her and just picked up my phone to call my supervisor, Professor Lewis. "I need to revise the paper I handed in. Yes, it's mainly about removing the second author on it. I wrote the paper alone." As soon as I hung up the phone, Wendy's face changed. She stamped her feet anxiously and spat. "How could you possibly call the professor to remove my name from the paper? Do you know my graduation will be delayed without this paper? You are not allowed to take my name out, or I only asked frostily with a cold look at her, "Or what? Or you'll break up with me." Wendy was so anxious that she almost burst into tears. She knew very well that I would not make her the second author again, so she snuggled up against Xavier's arms and said pitifully, "Babe, what should I do? I can't graduate without this paper." Xavier took out his phone and said to me, "I'll give you $5,000 as long as you change the author of the paper to my babe's name." I didn't even move and asked, "Only $5,000, as the son of the richest man, is that all you can give? Shouldn't it be at least $500,000?
Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.